Jason Walker here, Walker Tea Review. We're going to go and look at a white tea today. This is from Teavana. This is a silver needle, white tea, yes, and I'm going to go ahead and get it started so that we can look at it a little more in depth, taste it together, and share our experience. So we set this aside. Go ahead and give these a rinse. Already releasing quite a bit of aroma. That gives us a little chance to remove any lingering aromas from our cup and our steeping vessel here, which is a good idea if you use the same vessel for different kinds of teas. It kind of takes away some of the residual elements or aspects so that you can get a cleaner taste, more characteristic cup. There we are. Set that aside. Now with a white tea, when you are concerned about high temperatures, you can even leave the lid off, which allows more heat to rise up and outward faster, which we'll go ahead and do this time. One of the things that we're going to look at also is information about steeping, suggestions, and information. Again, this is Teavana's Silver Needle, retailing for $18 for 2 ounces. Of course, the greater volumes can be at a lower price. Interesting note here, I'm reading their package. The package here is suggested reusable for, no, never mind, that's something else. Okay, but we can talk a little bit about preparation, instructions, and details provided. One thing to note, this is an EquiTrade product, and recommendations or information on steeping suggest here 1.5 teaspoons, 175-degree Fahrenheit water, and a steep time of 4 to 5 minutes. Again, those are suggestions that will depend on your palate, your preference of the strength of your tea, and how you like your tea to taste. We'll go ahead also, we're going to give this a little more time to steep, and some of the things that we notice about this is, of course, this is a white tea, which are known to have delicate aromas to them. I'm getting, of course, you get the regular sweetness of a kind of clover smell from this. Also, I've detected a little bit of kind of a black pepper. There's a hint of spiciness in this. Okay, and an example of what a white tea often looks like. Here's a single tip or needle about the length of a paper clip, 1 inch and 1/4 long. You will note that these are a light green, a pale green, almost silvery in color, and you'll feel the velvety texture of the down on the leaves. And so with the color and the shape, the silvery color and the needle, hence the name Silver Needle. Okay, let's go ahead now. These have had time to steep fairly properly, considering the low volume of water put over these and the amount of leaf that we used. We now have a nice liquor to look at. Set that aside. We'll let that swoosh around, swirl, release some aromas. Yeah, already coming out quite nicely. Our wet leaves also lightened up, brightened up when the water comes over them. They become a brighter green color. The silvery note dissipates quite a bit, and so you're left still with, let's fish out a nicer looking one. Still having a tip shape which is of course a delicate, quite delicate young part of the of the tea plant, and that's why a lot of times your white teas, like your silver needles, come at a higher, more premium price, because you're talking about more delicate leaves, which are more difficult to handle and mean less tea as far as later in the season. Not a leaf that can be used for something else. Okay. Also, we're going to talk about some of the things that we're going to come to expect. A silver needle does have a kind of a starchy element to it as far as the texture in the mouth. Imagine like starchy meaning you eat a piece of potato, you swallow it, and you still get a starchy kind of texture in your mouth. A little bit of a very light astringency aspect to that. Okay, notes of or aromas of things like a little bit of kind of a clover, sweet clover that you find in the summer, the red flower type clover, that kind of sweetness. You're also going to get, as we've noted already in the dry leaf aroma, sometimes you'll get a faint aspect of a kind of a spicy note, like a cinnamon, maybe a nutmeg is what I've detected in some before, or kind of a black pepper note. And again, those are faint, but add to the overall pleasantness of the profile. Okay, so let's give this one a try and see what comes out in our liquid. Smoothness in the sense that, yes, you do have that starchy aspect to it. It doesn't tend to overpower and just stick to your mouth, but it does give it a nice smooth coating. Doesn't stay too long, but then isn't fleeting either. It doesn't just run away, so that you're left with an aftertaste that is smooth. Again, based on this tasting and previous tastings, the body was not watery, which is a positive aspect. The aftertaste again was sustained. I'm also getting a note that is more of that black pepper note, but also kind of a little bit of like a raw cabbage taste to it as well. So a leafy green type raw cabbage. So overall, given everything as far as the profile, we give this one an 89 because it carries a lot of the aspects or the characteristics of a white tea, of a silver needle like this. We could have brought out a little bit more of that clover sweetness in our cup, in our liquor, which would have given it a fuller, more rounded profile, and would have been quite comforting and rewarding as well. So, I'm Jason Walker. We just looked at Teavana's Silver Needle, and this is Walker Tea Review.